It's a sad day, folks. It's Sunday, September 20th, 2020. And if you're looking over my shoulder up there, that's smoke coming out of our chimney. We've just come off of 2 nights in a row of a really deep, hard frost. Really kind of finished off the garden. And usually we get almost another month of the growing season here, but it's killed off everything with the deep frost. And it's been a really dry summer, drier than we've ever seen it. I've heard that 70-odd% of New Hampshire is under an extreme fire warning for drought. Our pond, I have never seen our pond this low. I haven't seen these feeder pipes here since we put the pond in. We had some rain in June. We'd get like 1/10 of an inch here, 1/10 of an inch there, but we didn't have really any rain in July, any rain in August. Here we are in September. So everything is green because we get the dew from the cool evenings and warm days. But in all the years we've had this pond, the water level might go down a foot in September when everything dries out. Never seen it like this. What you doing, babe?
Taking my garden out. Reluctantly.
Frost killed it.
Frost killed it. Super early this year.
What do we get for a final crop here?
Oh, I mean, we had a good garden this year, I would say. We'll have lots of eggplant. We're gonna have tons of squash, butternut squash. We've had a lot of zucchini, yellow and green zucchini this year. We had good cucumbers this year. Our tomatoes weren't that great because we planted them in a new location and it wasn't quite sunny enough. That's okay. We still got some. And we had beans this year. Those are really good. The banana peppers were fantastic this year. That's going to be a new staple. I'm not going to do bell peppers. I'm just going to stick with banana peppers. They grow faster and produce a whole lot more.
Looks like we got a little stubby cucumber down here.
That's a cucumber. I mean, actually that one doesn't look like it froze. So this one is probably okay. But this guy is frozen.
It's frozen.
You can tell, right? See the difference? Frozen, not. So yeah, I mean it was a good garden. It ended a little too soon for my taste.
Yeah, we would have had to cover the entire garden with sheets or something these last couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like we didn't know. I think even if we had known and if we had covered the whole thing, maybe we would have had it longer. But we would have had to cover this one and the tomatoes.
So Anne-Marie's doing that. I've got to see what I can do on this trailer because I do want to get a coat of chassis paint on here and some rust inhibitor. But with the temperature trend over these next couple of weeks looking the way it is, I don't know if I'm going to get a coat of anything on here. So I got to kind of adapt my strategy to make sure I've got myself at a stopping point if the weather turns bad on me. Or at least I got in a place where I can roll it down to somebody's garage or something where I can continue working on it. So, been picking up all the scale. So that's a 5-gallon bucket, about 20% full, with a big magnet just pulling everything up that's fallen off on the ground. So today I have parts. So I'm going to be looking to cut out all these bolts, also bolt down here, get a washer underneath that one, and just replace all this to ultimately see if I can tighten up some of the slop. Yeah, there you go. Tighten up that slop. So I'm gonna see if I can warm my fingers up and get to work. Oh, this place is getting to be a mess. I gotta finish something up and clean this up a little bit. So here's what we got. Oh, this has been the best tool I have for getting rid of the rust and scale. This twisted wire wheel for the grinder. In here I've got my grade 8 bolts. And in here I have a kit, some replacement pieces, nice bushings in there, new pieces of shackle steel here that I think I'm going to find the holes are all warped out on the existing ones. And if there's a way, these guys here could be welded onto the frame so that I don't get this. What I can't figure out looking at this is this trailer coming from a camper, from what I can tell, was originally built in this fashion, which meant that these were always swinging and banging and ultimately wearing into the structural steel here. So for now, I'm just replacing everything. I'm not dealing with this for now. My longer term plan is to weld some plate over here and use those adapters, weld them down lower to drop everything so that there's enough play. But I got to figure out if I have enough to weld those two, because this isn't, this is angle iron. And because it's angle iron, and so these pieces are on, and so maybe I can weld that adapter right underneath under here to drop down the leaf springs and everything, but I just don't know yet. So gonna keep getting everything all cleaned up, get rid of the scale and everything that you're still seeing on this side. I haven't really gone after this side. I've done a kind of light cleanup on this side, so I still got to get over here. But yeah, look at that hole worn out through there. We got to fix all that. So I think today we start with some cutting. Tell you what, this is going to be a pain. These are all hardened bolts. So I've just I was starting to cut them with a sawzall blade, and I've already basically wrecked one sawzall blade. So now I've cut the cotter pins. I'm going to try and drive the cotter pins back out, and I've got my air tools set up, and maybe I can hit this with some air and break these free. Otherwise it's going to be some long cutting sessions. So let's see here. Oh, anybody else see all that scale just drop off? Here we go. Here's this hunk of iron. Still got to cut this guy out. Yucky, yucky. it's about time for me to stop taking apart, start putting back together. Rust converter and primer. Prevents future rusting, etc., etc. Eco-friendly, water-based. Surface temperature can't be below 45, so we're just making it today. Don't use in direct sunlight. Dry time 2 to 4 hours. Once coating changes to black, rust conversion has begun. Will appear transparent on painted or non-rusted surfaces. So on this thing, it should all end up black. The color of this thing is rust. Clean up with soap and water. All right. Before I do though, I'm going to drop this other axle down so I can get up in there with some paint. Always one more thing. Oh, let's go take a break. See how the garden cleanup's coming along.
This is what I was expecting in terms of butternut squash. Those are the extras that I found.
Where'd you find them?
Down the slope.
All down the slope.
I was expecting 7 or 8. So these are the ones that I had seen, that I knew were coming. And these are the extras that I found. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
We'll still get kale. We always get kale until winter. We'll do the beets later. I mean, I guess it's okay because the cucumbers had pretty much dried up. And the squash, we had so much squash, the zucchini this year, so. The real downside is the tomatoes.
Yeah.
We won't plant them there this next year.
You tilling the garden, Chloe?
That's the paint?
It's a rust inhibitor. It should dry black once it bonds with the rust.
Oh, really?
Yep. So having a little bit of rust isn't a bad thing, but I think this half I can
You
get
feel
done.
ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I can put this half back together, swap over to the other side. Well, there you go. Starting to set up a little bit. Definitely turning it blackish. Wouldn't call it black. And I haven't hit all the back here, so there's some of the original. You see it starting to dry around the edges here. Hit the top. Haven't hit here. But we're gonna get this side of the trailer done, and we'll let it set up for a bit. So, I think that's break time for a bit there. We're gonna see how this all starts to dry, but we'll be above 50 degrees for most of the day. We'll be above 50 degrees until the sun sets, so there's a good 4 hours for this to set up. So here's what it looks like. You can see the contrast for places that I haven't touched with the darkening of the places that I have painted. A little more evident when you look at this side versus the right hand side. It says that it should dry black. It's certainly drying sort of black, but it's not black like a black coat of paint. And as I look, there's undoubtedly places I'm going to want to go back and hit again, but I'm going to let this set up for a while. My hope is that I'll be able to get the wheels and tires back on one side so I can get it down off the jack stands, and then move on to the other side here so I can take that off, because I still have a lot of scale to clean up over here, and I just know I'm starting to race the weather to get the chassis paint, the rust inhibitor paints on here before it gets too cold to do that. So I'll take a break, have some lunch, and come back and hit it for a while longer. Just looking at some of the carnage we're pulling off here. Some of these shackles really oblonged out. Bushing's gone. Even this hole here is oblonged out this way. Here's what's left of a bushing, oblonged out, and just lots of play. Hopefully we're going to tighten all of that up. So heading back out to the trailer after lunch, and thinking before I put the shackles on, the new bolts and everything, get those wheels and tires back on, I want to hold up those metal brackets to get an idea of how they might fit, so that when I get my hands on a bigger welder or borrow a bigger welder, how I might actually do the fit up. And it'll be easier to do that before I bolt everything back on here. I want to know how these brackets might sit. You know, they don't fit between, but there could be plenty of meat. All right, got to think about this. We're not putting these on today, but perhaps down the road to give some consideration to how to address some of this. So after a trip to the Home Depot, I have a whole collection of 4" by 1/2" grade 8 hardened bolts that I'm going to use to rehang the leaf springs here. Should go something like that. Let's see how this works. However, I want to get bushings, maybe. Says the last bushing I'll need. It's only the last bushing I'll need if it fits. We'll see if I can keep metal shavings out of my coffee as well. Oh, that just seems like it's going to be a bad idea. Should say the last bushing I'll ever mash. Booyah. So, I've been wrestling with different things, like dropped the axle, took off the U-bolts. I've been trying to get this lined up here, because the shackle bolts for the leaf springs go up versus down for the trailer. And there's just no clearance, right? And there's all of this. Well, I've realized this is a different shape than that. This has much more drop. I would reuse this, maybe clean it up, but at least that hole is oblonged a good bit. And if I put one of the last bushings I'll ever need in here, well, then that bushing will never come out again, but maybe I can snug this up Yeah, almost an entire inch of drop. So I'm gonna have to. If I'm gonna do this, I gotta reuse this piece, which means I gotta cut out this hardened bolt because there's just nothing left there for the air to hit. So, okay. There's surprise number one. Here's with the other aftermarket. There's the difference. This one is shorter and deeper. Not all trailer repair kits are the same. All right. Sounds like somebody's sighting in their hunting rifle out there. Oh, this cut's gonna take a while. I think somebody's already been into this, working on it. That looks like a piece of copper pipe that was cut and jammed down in there. So I'm not worried about this thing failing, but it's going to leave some swap and play. I can get bushings in 2 of these. Maybe 3 if I can get something on here to pound that out. I'm going to try and pound that copper pipe out. Then I can get an actual bushing in, is my thought. Feels like 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards here. That copper's basically fused. It's not coming out. So we're putting this one back in. Alright, so here's the configuration I've settled on for this. I put the Zerk fitting bolts on the bottom here. Neither of these have bushings behind them, so they're going to get greased. Couldn't fit bushings back here. I was able to get a bushing in the top behind this bolt. I had originally planned to put Zerks up here, but because these have the opportunity to bump into the frame, I went with the original bolts that came with the kit. So I think I now have a working model for this side, so I'm going to tighten everything down, get everything clamped down, get the wheels and tires back on here so I can wrap up this side, and then we'll do a kind of a rinse and repeat over there. I was getting ready to put the other wheel and tire on, and then realized / remembered that I need to do a weld here, but I wanted to put a bolt in, and I'll do the same up here, a bolt and then a weld, because again, I don't have a heavy-duty welder right now, but I want to put the wheel on and block off my access there. So I got a bolt going on, and I'm just trying to find whatever thread locker I have. I got a little bit of blue medium left, all out of red. So I'm gonna go with this and a locking washer. Get in the game with that. All right, guys, there's where we're gonna leave it for now. Warmed up to about 60 degrees today. Got a good coat of the rust inhibitor on, and got lucky with a few things. Some of those hardened bolts would have taken an awful long time to cut with a grinding wheel, but the air tool, with some rust penetrating oil, was able to open those up, and we learned a few things here.
So if you can see the contrast on the coating now, this side here is untreated, and here's a good contrast line. Treated, untreated, one coat, and that coat's been sitting on here 2.5, 3 hours now. It says it needs 4 hours to cure. So yeah, it's coming. Now I gotta do the other side, but having learned how I'm going to do one side should make it a whole lot easier doing the other side. So I think I'm over the hump on getting this back together. Got to get my hands on some decking, but as long as I can finish this coating of rust inhibitor on the side before the temperature drops, I'll be able to finish this up before the snow flies. But for now, I'm gonna park it here. Work on this some more another day.